What is up, guys? Paradoxio here. Welcome back to a brand new video, everybody. Today we are going to be making our very first game in Python. Doing this, we'll be using a brand new third-party module we have not yet seen on this channel called Pygame. With Pygame, we are going to be recreating the retro arcade style Snake game, and we'll be adding a simple game over screen with a couple sounds and a scoreboard at the top left of the screen. And yeah, so before we get started, we need to go ahead and pip install one thing today. So for my Windows users, you will need to press the Win key and the R key at the same time, and you need to type in CMD at the bottom and then press OK. For Mac OS users, I think you just press the Alt and the Command key and this should come up. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. But anyways, once you get to your command prompt, we need to type in pip install pygame, just like that. And it should install. I already have it, so this is why I'm seeing this message. If you happen to get any errors using this command, fret not. There is a second command that 99% of the time will fix it. It is pip install pygame --pre. And I actually ran into an error using the first command. This is how I learned that the second command fixes that. So if you happen to get any errors, especially one talking about a missing file called config.py, just try to use the second command. That usually will work. I believe this error only occurs if your Python version does not match the Pygame version, the latest Pygame version, that is. So if those two versions don't match, you will likely receive that error. But don't worry, you can run the second command and it will install like normal. So once you have it installed, we can go ahead and exit because we are done pip installing. And now we need to import Pygame to our main file by typing in import pygame, py, and then game. And then while we're at it, we're also going to import random because we will be using it today. And specifically, we need to type in from random import rand range. And after that, we are done with our imports. And now we need to go ahead and type in pygame.init. And after that, we need to type in pygame.mixer.init. Now, we are typing pygame.mixer.init as well because I will be adding two sounds to the Snake game today. If you don't want to worry about any audio, sounds, music at all, you do not need to add this second line. It will not be important for you. But I will show you guys how we can add sounds, so I will just go ahead and keep this in my code. Now that we have these two written here, now what we need to do is define some colors that I want to be used in the game. I will be mainly using 4 colors. Now, since it is a retro arcade style game, it's not going to have very many crazy colors in it. It's going to have some pretty simple colors. I'll be using white, black, and green and red. So I'm going to go ahead and define them. So white will be equal to a tuple of 255, 255, 255. And then black will be equal to a tuple 0, 0, 0, and then green will be equal to a tuple of, I think, 0 to 55, 0. Yep, that's right. And then red will be equal to 255, 0, 0. Now, just from looking at these, if you're familiar with color codes, you probably already picked up that we are using RGB colors today. Now, I do believe with Pygame you can use HTML or hex code colors. However, don't quote me on that. Again, second time I said that today. Yeah, don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. I haven't tested it out. However, I have seen some people use HTML or hex color codes in their Pygame projects, so it may work. But for this video, I'm going to do the best thing I know to do, which is just stick to RGB colors. So I'm going to make a little note up here. Colors defined in RGB format. Just so you guys know that these are all RGB colors. And yeah, so that is it for our colors. Now we need to actually make our display that we're going to be playing on. So to do that, we need to just go ahead and type in another comment here. Obviously, you don't have to do this, but I am just for the sake of the video. But what we do need to do is go ahead and define our width and height variables. So width, height, I'm actually gonna spell that correctly. And I want to set it equal to 400 by 400. Did you know we can actually define variables this way? Width, comma, height equals 400, comma, 400. That is pretty useful for tuples. It is a pretty good habit to pick up on if you use tuples a lot in your code. Tuples are like our color codes here, a set of parentheses with more than one value in it. So yeah. And after that, we need to go ahead and make our clock variable. So clock is equal to pygame.time.clock. What this will do is it will allow us to have a defined frame rate in our game, whether it be 60, 30, 15, 59, 120, 144, whatever you want your frame rate to be. And then we need to go ahead and make our actual display. So display will be equal to pygame.display.set_mode. And inside here, we'll be taking a tuple. So that is actually what our width and height come into. So I'm going to type in inside that tuple width and height. And then we need to title our display. Basically just giving it a little title at the top. So I'm going to type in pygame.display.set_caption. And that will be Snake Game. Alright. And then that is it for our display settings. Now we need to go ahead and make our player. So I'm going to make another comment here. Player. And then I'm going to type in player size. Now, since in the retro arcade style of Snake, the player is just a perfect square as it starts off as. So I'm going to make that 10 pixels. And then I'm going to give it a speed, which will actually be used in our clock. So I'm going to type in player, and let's call it velocity, or vel. Because velocity actually makes a little more sense since it's going in a direction. But anyways, player vel, and we're going to set that equal to 15. And then now we need to load in some fonts. So I'm going to make another comment here, fonts. And then this is how we're going to be able to add text to our game. So I'm going to type in unispace font. And then I'm going to set it equal to pygame.fonts.sysfont. And inside here is going to take in two arguments. The name of your font, and then the size in pixels. So I'm going to use my favorite font, Unispace. This basically searches inside of your installed fonts folder. I think it's somewhere in your Windows drive. So it'll search in there, and then it'll pick out the font you have specified. I like using Unispace, so I'm using that. I think that's actually a custom installed one, so you guys might not be able to use it. But you can easily just go to dafont.com and download any font that you want. But anyways, I'm going to be using this font today, and I'm going to use a pixel size of 30. And then that's really it for my fonts. I'm only going to be using Unispace today. Now I need to load in my sounds. So to actually load sounds in, well, first I'm going to make a comment. But to actually load sounds in, we need to have a folder of the sounds somewhere in our project folder. So I'm going to go ahead and make that right now. I'm just going to call this folder sounds. And then actually my sounds are loaded on my desktop right here. I got my game over sound and my score sound. I can go ahead and show you guys what they'll sound like, but I'm going to make sure my desktop audio's on, which it is. So let's go ahead and click this. So as you can see, that will be the sound that plays if the game ends or if we die. And then this is the score sound for every piece of food you eat. So they're fairly simple sounds. Let's go ahead and add them to our project. Just drag and drop them into my sounds folder, and then we're good. Now we can go ahead and create two variables here. So one's going to be score sound, and I'm going to set it equal to pygame.mixer. dot sound, and then I'm going to pass in the directory of the sound, so sound slash score sound dot mp3, or nope, it's actually just score.mp3, sorry. You also can use os.join in here as well. You don't have to explicitly add the directory. The only reason you may add os.join is if your file that you're wanting to add to your game is somewhere else on your computer. However, just add it to your project folder, guys. It's a lot better in my opinion, especially if you want to put the game up for installation for other people to download and play themselves. So that's my personal recommendation. But anyways, back on topic here, let's add our game over sound. So game over sound, pygame.mixer.sound, and sound slash game over.mp3. This also works for OGG files, and I think WAV files. I think it works for just any audio file actually, so you don't have to be worried about that. But I personally like using MP3 because it sounds the best and quality. So you can use that one. That's my recommendation. But anyways, let's go ahead and make our game functions, guys. So make another comment here, game functions. And then we're going to start off with our display score function. So we're going to type in def display score. We're going to pass in score as the required argument. And then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to define our score text. So score text. And we're going to set it equal to unispace font.render. And then inside the parameters, we are going to type in a string and then score, :space, exit the screen. Or no, actually do some cognation. Sorry about that, guys. So we're going to be doing some string cognation using the plus sign. And then we're going to type in str score. Now we're done. And then we are going to type in true for any aliasing, and then the color that you want the text to be. Since I'm going to be doing it on a black screen, I want the text to be white so it's easily readable. And that's it. Now we need to actually display the text on our screen, so we are going to type in display.blit, and then we are going to pass in score text. And then we are going to pass in a XY coordinate, so 0, 0, because I want it to be at the very top left of the screen. And another thing I need to tell you guys about the XY plane for your window is that Y is actually inverted. Now, if you have studied algebra or calculus or whatever, you may should know that Y increases as you're going up and decreases as you're going down. But with Pygame, that is inverted. Y actually increases as you're going down and decreases as you're going up. So it's just backwards. However, the X plane is the same. And 0, 0, the origin, is at the very top left of the display. So that's just something to keep in mind. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and make our second function, which is the draw player function. So def draw player. And then we are going to type in player size and then segment. And then you're going to indent. So player size will be the size of our player, and then segments will be each segment that our player has after eating a piece of food. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and type in a for loop here. So for segment and segments, we are going to type in pygame.draw.rect, and then we're going to draw it onto our display. The color will be green, and then we're going to type in a bracket here, and then we're going to type in segment 0, and then segment 1, and then we are going to type in player size. And that is it for our draw function. Now let's move on to the main function that will be actually running our game. So def main, scroll down a bit, and the first thing we're going to do is define like 8 different variables. Maybe, no, 10 variables actually. So we are going to first define game over. We're going to set it to false. Game ended is also going to be false. And then x is going to be width divided by 2. Y is going to be width divided by 2 as well. And then x vel is going to be 0. Y vel is also going to be 0. And then player length is going to be 1. And then player segments, or no, actually I just need to be using segments, is going to be set to an empty list. And then we need to type in apple underscore x. This is going to be our piece of food. And we're going to set it equal to rand range, which will be, the first thing we'll be putting in is 0. And then width minus player size. And then that will be divided by 10.0. And then we are going to multiply that 10, and this will come out to a floating point number. And then we're going to do the same thing for y. So just y. And then we need to change this here to y. And then instead of width, we need to use height. And then that's it for our variables. Now we need to go ahead and create some while loops. So first thing we're going to do is type in while not game over. And then while game ended. And then we are going to type in display.fill black. So this will make our entire string black. And then we're going to go ahead and actually just create our game over message. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in game underscore over msg1. And I'm going to set it equal to our unispace fonts.render. And then I'm going to type in game over, just like that. And then I'm going to pass in true, and then I'm going to make the text white as well. Or we can make it red, actually, just so, I don't know, it'll give it more of a mean color, I guess. And then we're going to make our second game over message. Message 2. Then we're going to set equal to unispace font.render. And then we are going to type in press space to play again. True for any aliasing, and then red again. And then we're going to finally make our third game over message. 3 unispace fonts.render. And then we are going to type in press escape to quit. Or we can use another exclamation point. And we're going to pass in true and then red once again. And that is it for our messages. Now I'm going to type in display.blit. And then I'm going to type in game over message 1. And then for our XY coordinates, I'm going to use width divided by 3. And then height divided by 3 for the first message. And then for the second one will be display.blit game over message 2. And then this one will be width divided by 3 for the x coordinate. And then for the y coordinate, or no, actually, I'm sorry, the x coordinate will be width divided by 3 minus 70. And then I can go ahead and use height. So height will be divided by 3 plus 30. Not 30 plus 30, but 3 plus 30. And then our last message, so display.split game over message 3. And then we will be using width divided by 3 minus 35, and then height divided by 3 plus 60. And that's it. Now, obviously, these numbers I have put here are actually supposed to align each center of my message, so it just looks nice in the screen. It doesn't look all jumbled up or all aligned to the left or right side. I want it aligned in the center. So if you have a different message you want to use, you might need to play with these numbers just a little bit. Just try to find what looks best to you, what you're more comfortable with, and yeah. After that, we can go ahead and type in display score, and then we're going to type in player length -1. Then we're going to type in pygame.display.update, and that is it. Now we need to go ahead and make a for loop. So for event in pygame.events, or events, not events.get. And basically, we are going to be looking for events. Specifically, we're going to be looking if we press either the space or the escape key. Also, I just noticed that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to type in if event.type is equal to pygame.key down. And if that's true, we want to type in another if statement. So if event.key is equal to pygame.k_escape. Then what we are going to do is we are going to type in game_over is equal to true, and then game ended is false. In elif event.key is equal to pygame.k_space. So if we press the space key, we want to play again. So I'm just going to go ahead and call the main function. And that's it for that. Now we need to make an elif for the outer if block. So elif event.type is equal to pygame.quit. And if it is, it's basically just the same thing as escaping. So game over is equal to true, and then game ended is equal to false. And that's it for that. Now we need to go ahead and start our outer for loop. So for event in pygame.events.get, if event.type is equal to pygame.quit once again, then game over is equal to true, and then game ended is equal to false. Need to go into the next page here of my code, and then now what we're going to do is we're going to type in, or actually wait a minute, we didn't need the game ended is equal to false, but instead we need elif event.type is equal to pygame.key down. And now we are going to check if the user presses the WASD or the arrow keys. This will be for our movement. So this is going to be for our movement now. So we are going to type in if event.key is equal to pygame let's do k_a or events.key is equal to pygame.k left. So if we press the A key or the left arrow key, then what we are going to do is we are going to type in x velocity is equal to negative the player size, and then y velocity is equal to 0. Now we need to put an elif statement here, and then we can actually just copy this 3 more times because there's not much difference. Oops. There we go. And of course change all these to elif. Now this one I want to be for going right, so okay, right. And then instead of going negative, we want to go positive on the x-axis. And then these here are going to be our up and down keys. So K underscore up. And then actually this will be taken out, placed with 0, and then we're going to replace yvel with negative the player size. And then this here will be taken out, replaced with 0, and this will be placed with positive the player's size. So this will be ks and k down. Remember, the y-axis is inverted, so if you want to go up on the screen, you actually need to or actually, wait a minute, I have this backwards. That's supposed to be positive, and this is going to be negative. So if you actually want to go up on the screen, wait, no, I had it right. Okay, yeah. Sorry, guys. So if you want to go up on the screen, you're actually going negative on the y-axis. And if you want to go down, you're actually going positive. So this should be... Yep, this is right. I had to look again just to make sure. It can be pretty confusing if it's your first time using Pygame, so don't worry, guys. That's just how it is. But anyways, we need to go ahead and use our last bit of code here. So we are done. We are almost done with our game, actually. But now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and in our while loop, our outer while loop, actually, we need to go ahead and check for a few things. We need to check if we crash into the walls now. So if x is greater than the width, or whoops, I'm sorry. If x is greater than or equal to the width, or x is greater than 0, or y is greater than or equal to the height, or y is greater than 0, and if that's true, then we're going to type in game ended is equal to true, and then game over will be, or no, yeah, actually, yes, game over sound.play is what we're going to write, because we want the game to end and we want our game over sound to play. And now we are going to just go ahead and type in x plus equals xvel, and then y plus equals yvel, just like that. And then display dot fill black, and then pygame dot draw dot rect, and this is actually going to spawn our apple. So display red, and then apple x, apple y, and then for the size it will be player size. And since this is for width and height and we want it to be a perfect square, we're just going to put in player size twice. And after that, we can go ahead and type in segments.append, and we will append x and y. Just like that. And now we are going to check if we move. So as you move, it is deleting one segment from the end and applying it back to the front. It's going to look like it's the same length, but in reality it's just deleting and adding one at the same time. So to do that, we are going to type in if when player segments. Yeah, if segments is greater than player length, then we're going to delete segments and then 0. And after that, so we're going to type in another for loop here. So for segment and segments, and then we're going to look in that list up until -1. So we're going to be doing some splicing there. And then we're going to type in if segment equals the x and y coordinate. And doing this, it will end the game. So game over is equal to true. Wait a minute, it's actually game ended. And then we are going to play the game over sound. Whoops. Game over sound dot play. So what this is checking for here is it's checking if you crash into yourself like that. It's like if you go up and then you turn right, and turn down and turn left and crash into your own body, it's going to end the game because that is against the rules of Snake. So we are checking if the player does that, which is why we use X and Y here, because it is storing all the coordinates of where the snake's body lays over, so that way the game knows if we crash into ourselves or not. So that is what this for loop and if block is for. Now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and draw the player. So draw player, and we are going to pass in player size, and then we are going to pass in segments. And then we need to display the score. Display score, and then we're gonna type in player length -1. We use -1 because if you just pass in player length, it'll actually display 1 more than what your actual score is. So we wanted to display player length -1 score. And now we need to go ahead and type in pygame.display.update. So this actually updates our screen. And now lastly, what we need to do is we need to check if we eat an apple. Now to do that is just if x is equal to apple x and y is equal to apple y. So if it's equal to either of those coordinates, then we are actually just going to go up here, copy and paste all that again. Or not cut it, but copy and paste it. So there we go. Alright, there we go. So we're just going to respawn it, and then we're going to go ahead and play the score sound. And we're going to go ahead and add to our player length, so +=1, because we have gained a score from that. And then after that, we can exit that if block, and we can go ahead and type in clock.tick, and then player vel, and then we are going to type in pygame.quit once we exit the while loop, and then we're going to call the main function. So guys, that is our entire game so far. So let's review on what we did. So we imported, then we defined some colors, made our display, made our player size and velocity, add our fonts and sounds. We made our functions for drawing the player and displaying the score. And then we made some variables in our main function here. And then inside our while loops, we made a game over screen, a pretty simple one. We checked if we press space to play again or escape to quit. And then we created some checks for movement, which is just using your WASD keys or your arrow keys. So actually this works for both types of players, the arrow key player or the WASD key player. And then we check if we crash into a wall or ourselves, which is this here is checking for the walls and this here is checking for ourselves. And then we check if we eat an apple, and if we do, we add to our score. And then we play that score sound right here. And then this here is to basically make a more smooth movement, I suppose. This is something I'm still a little confused on, but apparently that makes it look a little bit better. So let's go ahead and play it. Let's see what we have made so far. So we got our green snake right here. It's just 1 pixel. And then we have our apple here. So let's go ahead and see if we can move. Alright. So we are able to move. Let's go ahead and try to eat that apple. And our score sound played and our score went up. And our snake got 1 more longer. Sorry guys, I'm not really good at snake. But as you can see, everything's working so far. Now I'm going to go ahead and purposely crash into a wall. And our game over screen starts up right here. So we can press space to play again. So if I do that, it works. And we can just go ahead and play one more time. And I'm going to actually crash into myself now. so give me some time to get a little bit bigger. No, I'm not long enough yet. Alright, I crashed into myself and the game ended. Now let's try the escape key. And it ends our game. So, it works like a charm. This is our very first game in Python. We have made the arcade retro style game Snake. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, or if you're stuck on some things that you're not understanding, feel free to join my Discord server, guys. If you enjoy content like this and would like to see more in the future, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I post once or twice a week at the moment. In my Discord server, we are around 330 members, so if you just want to hang out or if you need help on anything, feel free to join. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.